So I just watched all the Konosuba anime in preparation for season 3. I watched all of them, the previous seasons, the OVAs, the movies, and also the spin-off prequel of Megumin. And I just have to say, watching them in preparation for season 3 made me remember how much I liked the show, because it had been a long time since I first watched it. Back then I believe only the first 2 seasons were out, and I've forgotten most of the events of the story. So when I watched it again, I was very surprised that it was better than I remembered, and I have a lot to say. But before you go further into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It will mean a lot. And without further ado, let's get back into the video. I believe Konosuba is the type of comedy anime that any anime fan can get into. I see this because some comedy anime like The Life of Saiki K or Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto can be a bit too much. Don't get me wrong, I love those anime, but the way they are written is a bit over the top and may not be for everyone. Even the older ones such as Detroit Metal City and Chromarite High School, which are also one of my favorite comedy animes, even though they might be hilarious and their comedy is top notch, they might lack a tad bit when it comes to emotions, and I feel like Konosuba gets the balance right. Even though it's a bombastic over the top anime, it doesn't quite reach the levels of Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto and others like it. I feel like Konosuba just finds the right balance to be absorbable for most people who want to watch and get into a comedy anime, and it would be my first comedy anime to recommend for anyone who wants to get into comedy anime. Konosuba is considered by me and many others as one of the greatest isekai and comedy anime out there, because in its ability to make you effortlessly laugh. Each interaction between its characters, especially the main four, Kazuma, Aqua, Megumin, and Darkness, is pure gold. The thing that I love about this four is that they banter a lot, make fun of each other, and seem to get in each other's way, like how they sometimes threaten Kazuma by calling him a perv in public unless he does their bidding for them and whatnot. But when push comes to shove, you can tell they clearly care for one another, and none other moment exemplifies this for me like episode 7 of season 1, where they took a quest to eliminate snow sprites, but the winter shogun appears and he cuts off Kazuma's head and he passes away, and I believe that was his first time dying since he got reincarnated into this world. And he meets goddess Ares, and she was like, I can reincarnate you into your ideal life, and he was about to go, but Aqua's annoying but hilarious nagging and threatening to mate with his dead body convinces him to return, and we see that Megumin was crying since she thought he was going to leave them. Even Aqua was disappointed at that fact, and it is this moment that made me love this bunch than I already do, because it emphasizes that behind all the dysfunction in their relationship, they really do care for each other, and it makes it that much even better to follow the story from that point on, and I really love that about it. And let's talk about one of the standouts of this anime, Kazuma. Kazuma is an amazing protagonist, not because he's the most deep character with the greatest character arc. It's nothing like that. Kazuma is great because he's unapologetically himself. He's supposed to be this hero who saves the world from the demon lord, but my man is too lazy and petty for those sort of things. My dude is an average guy in an MMORPG world because of his pettiness. He could have gotten any overpowered weapon to get him through this world, but my boy chose to bring the goddess Aqua with him instead due to the hilarious disrespect she showed him. I mean, I don't blame her. The way Kazuma died was hysterical. He thought he died a honorable death by saving a girl from getting hit by a truck, but in reality, it was just a farm tractor and she would have been just fine without his interference. Not only that, but he shot himself in the process. That was hilarious, and when Aqua laughs at him and belittles him, it just makes it more funnier because you don't expect that kind of a reaction from a goddess. Goddesses in fiction are portrayed as this divine entity meant to be respected, like they are very elegant and out of this world. And then we have Aqua, an alcoholic, lazy goddess, and it is hysterical, especially because she expects people to revere and respect her because she is actually a goddess, but due to her personality, it is very difficult to see her as one. And none other moment portrayed this best like in the Megumin spin-off, when the guild told the adventurers to look for a beautiful blue-haired archbishop, and the people who set out to find her couldn't believe that could be her when they found her, because not only did she not fit the descriptions because she was in her construction work attire, but she was also trying an obvious scam on one of the adventurers who ran into her, and that got a chuckle out of me. It was very funny. When it comes to the three girls, I find Aqua to be the funniest because her interactions with Kazuma are just pure gold, and it rarely disappoints, like the way she belittles him and how they get in each other's way. And also I like that she is weirdly good at other stuff like doing tricks and other odd tasks. It's those subtle quirks and traits they have that adds a lot to the comedy of this show, like how Kazuma always says yes, I'm Kazuma every time a person mentions his name. Also in the ending of season 2, when Aqua fought valiantly for her believers even though they were persecuting her, that added a lot to her character. Also Darkness, our pervy weirdo, I really like her. For me, the best Darkness moments were when she was about to meet her fiancé she didn't want to marry because he wasn't a terrible person, and when she details the type of terrible person she wants to be with, like a man who is lazy and hits her and is abusive, and she mentions Kazuma as an example and tells her fiancé to be more like Kazuma. That was peak comedy and I really liked it. But if I have to choose best girl, it has to be Megumin. She has the most wholesome interactions with Kazuma that lean to the romantic side a bit. Also, she seems the one to care about him the most, like the time he died and she was crying. Also in the Konosuba movie, it did a lot to sell me on the Kazuma x Megumin agenda, but we will have to wait and see on that one. And I just love how the animation studio decides to put all their budget into Kazuma's hand movement when he does his unsettling and uncomfortable hand movements. I have to see the team behind Konosuba's anime got their priorities right, animating that hand movement well. Also, I have to say Kazuma's and Mitsurugi's interaction is quite hilarious. The way Mitsurugi reveres and sees Aqua in high regard, the goddess we all know is not worthy of that sort of treatment, and the fact that she doesn't even remember him or forgets him each time he reappears in the story is very funny, and the way Kazuma defeats him is absolute gold in season 1. I really like how Kazuma is not this perfect generic isekai protagonist. I mean, this show was made to make fun of those type of characters, and Kazuma couldn't have been a better fit as a protagonist. The way he unabashedly is for gender equality to the point he threatens to dropkick women is just absolute gold. And one thing I absolutely adore about this story is that how Aqua always seems to be the root cause of all the major problems, like how she was the one who brought the scientist who invented the destroyer and also the machine in Megumin's village. She is the second best character in this show, just behind Kazuma for me. One thing I'll be remiss if I didn't mention is that one dude with that mohawk haircut who always drops this one-liners to Kazuma when he always walks in the guild hall or when he's ready to leave town. The one-liners, the motivational generic one-liners that we get from anime when that mohawk dude says it is hilarious every single time. and I really love that character. Konosuba is a really special anime because I can't even mention a subversive anime like it. You've got anime who do the subversion thing like Overlord, and that time I got reincarnated as a slime, which both does the subversion by having unique character designs, with Overlord's signs being an undead and in reincarnated as a slime, Rimuru being a slime. But Konosuba goes beyond that. In fact, character design wise, he is not that different from your typical isekai protagonist besides the brown hair, but everything else is subverted in the Konosuba story. In that scene where he died and first met Aqua, their interaction set the tone for the whole show. From then on, we knew what we were going to be getting into, and just from that point in the story, you can find out for yourselves if Konosuba is or is not for you, and that's how good I found the setting of the tone to be. And another thing I'd like to praise about Konosuba is the voice acting. It made me privy that god tier voice acting actually exists, especially the voice acting for Kazuma and Aqua is phenomenal. And again, this was highlighted for me in the Megumin spin-off where she was in Axel in the town of beginners and she hadn't met Aqua and Kazuma at that point in the story, and she was just struggling to find a party that would accept her, and she would often stumble upon this duo who were struggling but would banter a lot and argue every time, those duo being Aqua and Kazuma, and through just their voices you can't help but chuckle, and that's how good I found Kazuma's and Aqua's voice actors to be. And the animation also is surprisingly really good. You'd think animation studios would reserve their money on a comedy anime, but the actual quality of the animation, I found it to be surprisingly good. Of course, there is not a lot of crazy action in this show, but when there are, it doesn't disappoint. Konosuba has to be top 10 isekai anime out there. It does the subversion of isekai anime tropes really well, and it is also absolutely one of the goats of comedy anime. And if you are one of those people who are not into comedy anime shows but want to try and give a chance to see if you can get into one, then Konosuba is the one I'll be recommending. That's all I have to say. If you've made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe. It will mean a lot. And with that said, see you guys in the next one.